Well, no question, Richie Laryea and Ali Ahmed stood out in Canada's last two matches, but when, and emphasis on when, not if or how, when Alphonso Davies returns to the squad, how different will this team look, and how on earth, wheels, will Jesse implement all three of these players?
It's a great question, and maybe the biggest question for Canada at present time, as it seems like Marsh has kind of settled in on the players that he feels most comfortable with in various roles. It's really interesting seeing how it's coming together. But it's funny, when a player is gone, it allows the opportunity to see different players in different roles. And I think that both Richie Laryea and Ali Ahmed both made impressions. For Laryea, he's great tracking back. He's exceptional at controlling the play, drawing fouls. I just feel like whether it's going forward in attack or the way that he defends, he looks really good playing on the left side of defense for Canada. And Ali Ahmed does all the little things right. He's now taking set pieces. For me, he's the most underrated player on Canada. His future most certainly is destined to be at a significant European club come this time next year. I just look at him as a player that's willing to do the dirty work, the grind that Jesse Marsh demands in order for Canada to really play this system effectively. So then the question is, if you like both those players in that roles on that left-hand side, what does it mean for Alphonso Davies? I think that this is where Jesse Marsh really starts to earn the money that he's making here, because he has a decision to make. Because Alphonso Davies is the most talented. He's probably Canada's best player, with all due respect to Jonathan David. Let's not forget what Davies can be. But perhaps his role in the team is a little bit different. I'm not even just talking about positions, because Marsh will have to decide where Davies can be the more impactful player for Canada. Is it at left back or is it at left midfield? And that's how he goes about making that decision. But Davies' role, and where he's received some criticism in circles before, is sometimes he tries to do a little bit too much for Canada. Perhaps he needs to augment the way that he plays for our national team, rather than trying to be the player that continually drives the play, rather than playing in the system, much like he does with Bayern Munich, which makes him so effective and allows his true talents to shine. Perhaps he doesn't have to take set pieces. Perhaps he plays a little bit of a different role. So I think that that's what needs to change, and then Marsh can decide what position that he's can provide a little bit more of an impact. And for me, unfortunately for Ali Ahmed, I think it's probably a little bit more advanced up the field. Although at this point, the question needs to be asked, how do you take Ali Ahmed out of this starting 11? Just how good he's been. So these are the headaches. These are situations that Jesse Marsh needs to deal with. I'm curious where AGR thinks Davies might fit in best, but I think more so than the position, it might require a little bit of a rethink on behalf of Alphonso, the way that he approaches his team and the way that he slots it.
Yeah, well, I think if you were to ask me, how do you take Ali Ahmed out? You don't. I think at this point, what he's shown, you can't take him out because he brings you so much. First off, he's Canada's best defensive winger, without a doubt. Yeah. You look at all the other options, Tajon Buchanan, Jacob Schaffelberg, Jaden Nelson, Liam Miller. Ali Ahmed defends super well. I think you can tell he's played as a fullback before. He's played in different positions. Just for context, in this Wales game, he played 65 minutes. He led both teams in tackles, was second in recoveries, and was second in duels won. In 65 minutes as a winger, that's pretty absurd when you consider the game and all that. It just adds so much to how Canada presses when he's on the field. You could feel it at the Gold Cup when he wasn't there and they were putting different players in that position. You just lose something. And another thing, too, that I think is super underrated, Ali Ahmed has played as a central midfielder before. And I bring that up because with Canada only playing two in the middle, when Ali Ahmed's on that left side, he has a natural tendency to drift inside, cut in, support, almost become a third midfielder at times, which helps Canada keep the ball a bit more, create these overloads. And it's been perfect. Him and Richie Laryea have such a great partnership because that kind of frees up Laryea to go flying up the left wing, knowing that Ahmed will cut inside and vacate that space. Sometimes a problem that Alphonso Davies has had when he's been playing left back is that when his wingers, Jacob Schaffelberg likes to hug the touchline a bit more, likes to run in behind. Liam Miller does a good job of cutting inside. I think that's why him and Alphonso Davies had a great partnership to start Jesse Marsh's tenure. But I'd love to see Ali Ahmed and Alphonso Davies. I think there's some real potential for a partnership like that to yield fruit. it's tough for Richie Laryea because, like you mentioned, Wheels, he's been so good. How do you drop him? I do wonder if you look at that right back side. Right now, I feel like that's a wide open position. Alistair Johnson, Richie Laryea, Nico Seeger. I could make a convincing argument for all three. Like you mentioned, you can't drop. You're not dropping Davies. You want to put him in. So for me, it's left back. He's played 45 minutes of wing under Jesse Marsch. He's played 95% of the time at left back. And I really think a Davies Ahmed partnership could be beneficial for both. Creates a logjam at right back, but I think Jesse Marsch, look, either way you got a logjam, and I think I'd rather have a logjam at right back than potentially be moving Davies all over and dropping Ahmed based on how good he is.
I'm curious what you think, though, like the Ahmed stats and the way that he defends, I get it. But Davies is coming from a place where he's been playing fullback for Bayern Munich. And, you know, in comparison to Ali Ahmed, Davies is bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, if he can commit to playing that kind of football in that way, wouldn't the outcome even potentially be better if it's Davies who's part of that press leading the line for Canada? I at least need to see it, AGR. I just think between Davies, Laryea, and Ahmed, you find whatever that right mix is going to be. And either Laryea or Ahmed are going to be the odd man out, at least from the start of games, right? Like, that's the way that has to play out, right? Like, where's the chemistry? Where's the best combination, and what's going to bring the best results?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Alphonso Davies pressing. Thing is, though, when we've seen him play higher up the pitch, especially at the World Cup, he's kind of just lacked that natural discipline to defend as a winger because he just hasn't done it a whole lot in his career, too. I think part of it's just him not knowing as much. I guess you could say Jesse Marsch will bring that, but again, he's so comfortable with that left back position. If anything, the push should just be like, people forget too, like when he's been playing at left back for Jesse Marsch, it's frustrating because we're not seeing the best out of him offensively, but he's been so good defensively, and it's fine offensively because there's enough weapons to make up for it. I think the push should be go back to left back, but be more aggressive. And if anything, show him what Richie Laryea has been doing. Richie Laryea, each game he's been playing, he's getting a shot or two, he's creating a chance or two. Why can't there be Alphonso Davies, but more? I think there's a bit of a negative connotation of just pushing him out to left back because it feels like you're wasting him a bit. But I think there's ways to get the one I think of right away is Achraf Hakimi at Morocco. He plays fullback, but he's always one of their most dangerous players, one of their most involved players, because their coach tells them, go up, have that freedom. I think Jesse Marsch, if he can find a balance of keeping Davies at left back, but actually giving him the freedom, I think that's the solution we can all be happy with.
And that's the key, AGR. Like, what situation is going to bring out the best of Alphonso Davies? Because the best of Alphonso Davies is going to make this team even better. And that's where the debate is. And, you know, I get the case for left back. I also understand the case for bring him a little bit higher up the field.
I think it's going to be you guys and Jesse Marsch losing the most sleep between now and next summer.
Not losing any sleep. I'm all good. I have a 3-year-old.
You're like, this is nothing. Well, you guys, this is definitely one of the more consistent and dominant windows we've seen from the national team. Jesse Marsch actually went as far to say as this is the best 10 days he's ever spent with the team. Wheels, would you agree with that? Is this the best stretch under Marsch?
I would, because the Copa America was a high watermark for this Canada team under Jesse Marsch during the very early days, by the way. But Canada wasn't like going out and just winning games in 90 minutes. Like, they only beat Chile over 90 minutes, you know, the penalties against Venezuela. Like, there was positive play, but I don't think that we've seen the team as complete as we saw over the last week. I think spending some time away on European soil, kind of away from friends and family, they're just in their own element. He's able to use some trigger points coming out of a disappointing summer as well. And seeing the team respond the way that it did, they dealt with a little bit of adversity with the Kone stuff and the injury stuff, and they came through it in shining colors. Honestly, that is as complete in terms of 290 minutes as I've seen this team play under Jesse Marsch. And people have heard my comments before. I was, critical of the way that they performed and some of the decisions that they made and the lack of adjustments. I overall, on the balance of it, there's not a whole lot of negative to pick at over the course of those 2 games played. Yes, they played against inferior opponents opponents who were playing their second most important games of the window and rotating their squads accordingly. But it was more about the way that Canada played rather than the way that their opponents played. And I think they answered the bell. I think that it's not complete as of yet in terms of this puzzle being put together, but it's as good of a window as you could have expected. So yeah, I completely agree with Jesse's assessment.
Yeah, I'd have to also concur. I think one issue Canada's kind of had is just keeping momentum from game to game. And you kind of look at a lot of windows. They'll be, I think of last September. They played the U.S. phenomenal game, one of their best under Marsh, pressed them off the park in Kansas. And then the next game, it was a slog against Mexico, 0-0 draw, not a great performance. There's countless other examples of that. Whereas, yeah, in terms of 180 minutes that they've put back to back, two phenomenal performances. What I like, too, is that they're two different performances. They show a bit of versatility tactically, which is something we wanted from them. In Romania, it's gung-ho, press them off the field, bravado. But against Wales, there was a bit of a recognition of, this team can play a bit. This team can pass. Let's sit back. Let's not press intensely. The way they saw out both games. All of a sudden, Jesse Marsh at the Gold Cup, we were critical of him of why did you go 4-2-3 when you could have gone 5-3-1 down a player? What does he do in Romania? He brings on Joel Waterman to help see out a game with a third center back. What does he do in Wales? Brings on Joel Waterman, a third center back. Maybe that's Waterman's new role, the emergency last 10-minute stopper. But hey, it shows growth from Jesse Marsh to realize what does the game need? How do you adjust? How do you see it out? So I think, in terms of the performances, there's nothing to nitpick. And what's great, too, did anyone have a bad window individually? Like, genuinely, did anyone's stocks drop? No, everyone's stock went up. That's also, for me, always a hallmark of two good performances is when you're sitting there. And I literally can't pick out a player and be like, this player had a bad camp, even if it was 5 minutes on the field or 180.
AJR, just out of curiosity, yesterday Wales said 10 out of 10 against Romania and 8.5 out of 10 against Wales.
You're watching. Thank you.
I'm tuning in.
Thank you.
AJR, if you could, are you grading these and where does that fall?
Yeah, I think Romania was a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Genuine, like 3-0, clean sheet, perfect. Wales, I like that 8.5, 9. It's tough because it's a 1-0, but it was the sort of performance they're going to need at a World Cup. I think it's the way they showed a bit of grit defensively, fight. The way Derek Cornelius was throwing himself into tackles, Richie Laryea was battling. So I think, I would agree. This was, if we're grading it out of 20, I like that 18.5, 19. It was that good of a window.
There you go.
Solid.
You guys Professor AGR. Love it.
Okay, well, you guys, looking ahead, it was just announced that on November 18th at Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, Canada versus Venezuela. How important do you think this match will be, Wilson?
Well, the thing that stands out about this game, and by the way, it's a rematch from Copa America. Venezuela, a team that's going to be on the outside looking in again, coming to the World Cup. Not the best opponent, but I think Ecuador and Colombia are really good teams that they're going to be playing in the October-November window combined. The thing that stood out for me is that this game is in Fort Lauderdale, which I don't think is great, but I can justify it a little bit. Because first off, I think you want to play as many games as you can at BMO Field in Toronto or at BC Place in Vancouver from here between now and the World Cup, not only for the familiarity aspect, but to get people excited. Home games are good. Having Canadian fans come out and support is a really big thing heading to the World Cup. They're requesting, playing in a neutral site. I guess there'll be more Venezuelan fans down in Miami, more so than anything else. That's a little bit disappointing for me and not preferable. These negotiations are very difficult. Obviously, the time of year comes into it as well. We are in Canada, after all, in November. That's why I can justify it to a certain degree. The one thing that is abundantly clear and stands out, and I'm just watching this across all of World Cup qualifying, is teams I feel are already preparing for the conditions that they're going to face next summer, where it's going to be hot, it's going to be difficult. And if Canada is going to play this style of football, the rock and roll, speed, intensity, pressing all the time, there's going to be challenges there. That's why it makes it all important for Canada to stay and win the group and stay in Vancouver as long as they can next summer. Because if you stay in Vancouver, you kind of mitigate some of the conditions or the difficult conditions that you're going to face. But playing in a more warm weather environment for this November window, you can justify it because they're going to be playing in much warmer temperatures next summer rather than coming up here and playing in less than ideal conditions in November. So that would be my response to that.
AGR, I know you're biased to staying in Vancouver, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was going to say, maybe I'm kicking a hornet's nest. It is a bit crazy that there's a November window and you're having a game out in Ontario where it might be -10, whereas out here will be pretty nice in Vancouver in November. But I digress. I just hope that
should have been in Vancouver, right? Should have been in Vancouver.
I mean, weather-wise, it should have been in Vancouver. But
is there like an MLS Cup coming up around that time?
I guess that wouldn't be bad.
I don't know.
But for sure, 2025, I think every game has to be in Canada. I think that's kind of the plan. Like the March window is going to be fascinating. There were reports that came out yesterday that France kind of just invited themselves to North America and want to play two of US, Canada, or Mexico. So, man, imagine a game between France and Canada somewhere in Canada in March. But for this November window, it's good. It's you look like they've got a complete Rolodex from September to November. If you get 2 European teams, you get 3 South American teams. That's great. And then you get a matchup against Australia for good measure. That's going to test you. Venezuela, is it the best team? No, they somehow missed out on the World Cup again. They've never made it in their history. They choked it on the last day because Bolivia beat Brazil, granted in Bolivia with the altitude, and then Venezuela got smoked at home by Colombia. But Venezuela is still a good competitive team. They gave Canada a good test at Copa America. And the Florida aspect, though, you're right, Wheels, that's an underrated aspect, getting used to the conditions, getting used to the weather. It's tough because Jesse Marsh actually made a good comment about this. I think it was after the game against Wales that he wants his team to play more home games. It is a bit weird that they play so much on the road, but it's testing them in good ways. And I think what they just showed this window helps. And then, man, imagine if they can continue to get some results on the road, what it's going to do for their confidence when they start to get ready for the heavyweight fights that await them at home.
So what do you want next year? Like France, what would be the best combination? France, England, France, Spain, France, Portugal. I'd say France, Italy, but we're not sure if Italy's going to qualify for the World Cup yet. So
I mean, give me like a France, but give me like a Brazil in Vancouver. Carlo Ancelotti has
an Argentina.
Imagine that. Carlo Ancelotti has links to Vancouver. I think a Canada-Brazil could be fun, especially the way Brazil's kind of dipped a bit. Canada could kind of push them in ways, and of course Brazil's class. I think it would be a fantastic test for Canada. And then in June, same thing. Bring the heavyweights. I think for Canada it would be good to push themselves against teams.
Just a quick comment on that. I know we got to go, but like Brazil and Argentina have been in conversations in the past with the CSA. The issue is you have to pony up a big number, a lot of money to bring these teams to play in this country. Perhaps the fact that the World Cup's being played here and there could be knock-on benefits that number might be able to come down, but it's like that number is being cost prohibitive to making it happen. So we'll see. Perhaps there's some negotiation points here, and perhaps there's a desire and need to make it happen, and it can be one that Canada could end up making some money on. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what position. Well, see how those Canada Red memberships, how they're selling.
Well, the countdown, you guys, to 2026 feels a little more real now that the tickets are officially in play as of today. So good luck to everyone throwing their names
Didn't get an email.
into the draw.
Didn't get an email.
Hey, fingers crossed for you, Wheels.
And I have a visa. Come on, man.
Yeah, me too. I didn't get. Yeah.
We'll wrap up there, but may the FIFA gods, if you will, be in your favor.